Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about cloth simulation in Blender 2.8. So it's a very hopefully it will not take too long. Right. So what are some of the features that we're going to cover in doing the simulation is basically subdivide. So we're going to subdivide the polygons and the physics of cloth as well as the physics in collision. Then lastly is to bake. Right. So let's dive in. So basically I created a cube. Okay. With some bevel edges. So the very first thing we want to do is to create a plane, and to bring this plane up, scale it up. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to subdivide. We can actually right click and click on okay, go into edit mode, right click and subdivide. Right, you can set this to 10, but you can go 20 lah. Right, so 20 will actually give it a smoother edge. Other than that, go back to object mode. We want to make it a smooth shading as well. So some of the thing to set up, right, is actually to set up the physics, which is actually this icon, okay, over here, as you can see. So both the blanket as well as the bed, okay, will need to have a collision. So we have to go onto the, let's say this bed at the bottom, click on the collision, okay, that's it. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do the same for the blanket, which is a cloth type, and as well as click on the collision as well. Okay, so notice you have a timeline here, so we're gonna work on that as well. Right, so basically with that simulation, right, we're gonna increase the step by to 10. Then maybe as well as the collisions quality. Let's collision, right? Collision quality to maybe say about 5. And another settings that we want to do is basically the self collision. Okay, just enable that as well. Okay, these are some of the things that we want to do. Right, then that's it. Let's try to bake and see what happens. So basically I'm building 250 frames, so depending on how much you want to set, you can adjust accordingly. So let's see. So once it's done, right, you can actually click on display, then it will play the animation. So that's it. So that's kind of cloth simulation. But let's say we want to make it have a little bit more like effects and stuff, right? We can actually go inside the blankets edit mode, right? We can click on a few, maybe a random few lines and stuff. All right, then we can actually do a, you can actually move it upwards, so by pressing GZ. Okay, so to achieve this area changes, right, you actually make sure you have selected this proportional editing. Okay, one more thing that we may want to do is basically to, let's say, rotate it at about maybe in along the z-axis, maybe just a bit of angle. Then maybe we want to say we want to position this maybe not that much, just a slight will do. Then we're gonna move it along the y-axis downwards, kind of that way. Right, we can actually use a wireframe mode to see. Okay, so it's kind of this blanket is pretty big, so we're gonna scale it down a little. Yeah, then maybe let's just move it a little bit higher. Okay, so that's kind of like my so-called blanket. Right, so let's go back to object mode and shader as well. Right, so now we're gonna build the simulation. We're gonna bake the simulation again. First thing, delete the bake. Okay, so while baking, right, just take note to make sure you're in the object mode. Else you will not see actually any difference that is being updated. So while baking, you can't do anything much, so you just gotta wait and test. Right. So you can adjust like which timeline position that you want. Okay. Another way, right, to refine the smoothness, right, you can actually go on to the modifier again, and you want to add another maybe subdivision surface. Okay. So this will give your surface, your blanket surface, a smoother kind of texture looking, right? And you can actually position it a bit higher. Yeah. Oh, so generally, because we're gonna use this asset for games, so we wouldn't want to have too much polygon count over it. But if you are doing it purely for aesthetic purposes, right? I mean, feel free to increase the subdivision, right? So then you'll get a more, how to say, a smoother look to it, right? So with that done, with that said, that's pretty much how you create a kind of a cloth like effects on Blender. Yep. Okay, so with that, I will end it here. Thank you.